Practice 1 left us with many questions yesterday, and we're about to get a couple of answers here today at Road America, our final practice session before we head over to an important qualifying. Let's head over to INDYCAR Radio for this practice now.
With live coverage of today's practice, this is INDYCAR Radio.
Final 45-minute tune-up before we go qualifying a little bit later on today. Welcome to Road America. I'll tell you, for a place that's 70 years of age, Davey, it looks pretty darn good, huh?
You know, I just looking through that book that they put out, 70 years old, built 1955. How impressive. And as we know, it used to be ran in the streets right down the road in Elkhart Lake. And to have the vision in 1955 to build such a fabulous racetrack in such a great area with elevation changes, the trees, a 4-mile course. What a vision they had way back then, and man, it's still today just absolutely gorgeous.
Pretty uneventful practice session all in all. A couple of offs, nothing really of note. We can tell you that Kyle Kirkwood stays hot. The Worldwide Technology Raceway winner turned a lap at 1:45.9881. To give you an idea of how ultra competitive this field is, Davey, the top 15 cars were all in the minute 45 range, and the slowest car, now get this, the fastest lap was 1:45.9881. The slowest was 1:46.8911.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, we continue to talk, the competition level that INDYCAR has. It's just amazing because, you know, we all have Firestone tires, so they're all in the same tire. We all have a Dallara chassis. You either have a Honda or a Chevrolet engine that are both very competitive, both could win. But we only had 2 winners this year so far. It just blows me away that how stacked this field is with 2 winners. But that goes to show you, that's how stacked this field is, just what you said, so close for fastest to slowest.
So the clock has started on this 45-minute session, and again, we go qualifying a little bit later on today. A final tune-up tomorrow morning before we go racing fairly early in the day tomorrow, and it was a fairly comfortable day on Friday, but boy, the heat and humidity is going to be cranked up over the next couple of days here at Road America. To get the specifics on the conditions this morning, we welcome in Alex Wolf.
Well, Mark, the heat is on both literally and figuratively here on the pit lane at the Firestone Pit Center. Ambient temperature of 86, track temperature of 100, and as the day progresses, those are only going to climb. The sunshine, blue skies, a few clouds, and a breeze blowing around, and when that kicks up, it's at least a little bit more pleasant as far as the temperature feels, but very pleasant feeling at the America's National Park of Speed, Road America, and it should be a hot one this weekend.
Thank you, Alex. Happy to have you with us this weekend, and let's get more with our other pit reporter handling things throughout the course of the day. We welcome in Joel Sebastianelli.
Hey, Mark, if you live in a cold weather state, I don't think anybody wants to hear you complain about how hot it gets in the summertime, but it's obviously going to be really uncomfortable for these drivers in the car. I talked to Connor Daly before the session started. He is a type 1 diabetic, and he always has to be careful about maintaining his body no matter what the temperature is. So I asked him, on a day like today, do you have to take any extra care? And he said a little bit, but basically, I just have to do everything 10 times more. And if I'm going to be really uncomfortable, the good news, or bad news, is that everybody else is going to be 10 times more uncomfortable as well. So he's going to be keeping a close eye on everything that he normally does while hydrating 10 times more, just like everybody else on the grid. And I think everybody else down here on pit lane as well.
They massaged the aero screen since its induction, Davey, to try to get more air into the cockpit. Unfortunately, on a hot day, it's kind of akin to putting a fan in an oven. So, you know, the cool suit technology, I think, has been the biggest benefit for these drivers.
You know, that's the biggest help is that cool suit, to which, I'll be honest with you, I've never had to wear one. And you know, I've been in a lot of, you know, the closed cockpit cars that get really hot, but these cars get super hot, and that cool suit, it really works until it doesn't. And then when that thing doesn't work, and we've seen that several times,
it's added weight.
It's added weight, plus it really gets hot when it's not working properly. So you hope that they have a proper, you hope that it keeps these drivers cool. And you're right, they have changed that aero screen. They have a vent to the helmet, which definitely helps out, but that's still just airflow. It's not cooling it off any.
So Scott McLaughlin, the early leader, is, boy, this has turned into an all-skate pretty quick, this 45-minute session.
You know, yesterday it was a minute 15. We talked about that. A lot of guys wait because of tire strategy and tire management going out on the track. Sometimes they don't go out that early, but when it's a 45-minute session, people get after it, don't they, Mark? Right now, already 22 of the 27 cars, actually this 23 of the 27 are on track, and it just keeps going. It's now 24. They're all out there.
I think teams and drivers have speculated that if some agreement could be made and some formula could be made to maybe give everyone one additional set for that first practice session, that might increase the track activity.
It might that, or you know, if you know, I think, you know, the start of the year, everybody kind of dictates, including they would deal with Firestone and say, here's how many tires we want for each course. And so if you have a situation like here where you have to manage your tires, we have a car just almost spun out coming off of turn 14. I think that was McLaughlin actually coming off of turn 14, almost spinning that car out. But is just shorten the times a little bit, just shorten the practice session, and then make sure everybody goes out there.
So, Davey, we talked to Firestone yesterday and talked a little bit about the compounds that they brought. The construction is the same as it was a year ago. A bit of a change to the compound in that alternate tire to maybe increase that deg a little bit and make that tire wear a little faster. Yeah, and we know one thing for sure is that alternate tire is faster. The teams were able to run those yesterday late in the practice run. Times fell pretty dramatically, so we do know that that is a better tire for qualifying. Now, they have to play that into their strategy and how it's going to work, when they're going to run it, and how many sets that they you know, we know that they have to have one set. That was McLaughlin almost spun it off of turn 14, was able to continue on. But we do know they have to run one set of alternates and one set of primary sticker tires in the race. We do know that for sure. Now it's just how they're going to strategize. I have to think that the red tire is not going to be the primary tire this race. Now, it could change a little bit. I know there's a lot of heat out. I think it's going to wear the times to slow down, but I think that the tire wear could be a little bit higher, and the primary tire is probably going to be tire of choice when it comes race time. So, again, a 45-minute session, and going to be interesting to see just exactly how things sort out in terms of where and when they use the alternates and the primaries. And as we talked about a little bit yesterday, Davey, and for those that missed it, there's no question that final practice session on Sunday morning has now become a very important one in terms of your race strategy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think that's a situation there, too, you know, on the oval that we went to at St. Louis at WeatherTech, that they, or Worldwide, I'm sorry, Raceway, that they decided to do it the night before, just in case something happens and you have time to fix the car. But here it is race morning. I think it's, you know, I have my, you know, I'm torn. You should have a race morning, you should have it the night before, but I think this particular weekend with the heat that we have, race morning is going to be good to really give them a true indication of what these cars are going to be like on that day.
Well, got everybody out on course. Nick Yeoman joins us momentarily, but a 4-mile course, 3 of the best in the business to cover the action for you this weekend. And we'll start as they make their way down the hill. As Jake Query, looks like you have the Verizon car that spun in front of you at the entrance to turn 5.
That is the car of Will Power, and his teammate Scott McLaughlin, followed by Pata O'Ward, are going to have to work their way around the right-hand side of Will Power because he got loose here. And something that I've noticed here in this turn, Mark, it is a left-handed turn. It comes at the completion of an elevation change downhill. And then when they make that left-hander, that's an area of the racetrack that, quite frankly, right now looks like they're still navigating, trying to find some grip with it. Kyle Kirkwood just came through this area. I noticed Joseph Newgarden last lap by, his rear end started to step out just a little bit. But once they make that left-hander, it's about a 350-yard jaunt uphill once again and underneath the Corvette bridge. Taking a look down now and watching it is the car of Marcus Ericsson that kind of tiptoed his way through. He is followed by Callum Eilert. So this is an area of the racetrack in this beautiful, beautiful facility, Mark. So many already this morning. Campers that have popped up and tents and fans that are here. It's always good to be at Road America, and this could be a very, very busy, active, and perhaps a lot of implications of what may happen in the race could happen here in this area of the track.
Yeah, no question, Jake. That's a busy quarter, and look forward to your call throughout the course of the weekend. You heard Jake reference the uphill climb to that Corvette bridge, and then it's a left-hander, which leads him eventually to the carousel, one of the many signature portions of this racetrack, and that's where we stationed Michael Young, who will handle things throughout the weekend.
Indeed. I'm right in front of the carousel, actually in turn number 7, Mark James, so I can see the right-hander of turn number 7. But after they come underneath that Corvette bridge, it's a left-hander and a tight left-hander. See a lot of understeer from these drivers as they make their way off of that left-hander of turn number 6. It is extremely windy up here at the top of the hill, so the drivers will be met with the wind right in their face as they head down the hurry downs towards turn number 8 as they make their way through that right-hander of turn number 7. It's a slight right-hander, not a big turn, but we'll see the drivers push the limits and put the left sides off the grass. Matter of fact, Colton Herta nearly lost control of the car as he let those left sides drift out onto those rumble strips. Then they make their way all the way down to the bottom of this hill in the left-hander of turn number 8, a potential passing opportunity. Going to be interesting to see how this all plays out as we expect not only the heat, but a lot of wind as well, Mark James.
Thank you, guys. Look forward to the call throughout the weekend. Let's head back to the pits, check in with Joel.
And we'll check in with a pretty important figure here at Ed Carpenter Racing. Ted Gelov is the CEO and founder of Heartland Foods. You will see his brands, Java House and Splenda, on the side of Alexander Rossi and Christian Rasmussen's cars. You'll also have stake in ECR now. And obviously, when you get involved with something, you want somebody who aligns with your vision. How does the IndyCar Series and ECR align with your brand?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, and great to meet you. You know, I got involved in IndyCar primarily because I have a background in sports. I don't have motorsports in my background, but I have competition in sports. And as I was looking to continue that pursuit, nothing better than in my own hometown, IndyCar and IndyCar racing. And as I looked across the paddock, I wanted a team to be involved with a team that culturally aligns with the way that we are. Family-oriented, generally just good people to be around, and ambitious. They have a desire to win, they want to win, and they were looking for somebody to also come in and help them achieve their potential.
For sure. Great people all throughout the paddock here. And we see your product in the paddock as well. Obviously, you want to bring that to the race fans here. If people want to see that, what kind of activation is there?
Well, we've done a lot of activation. I mean, first of all, we're sponsored on the cars, so both Java House and our Splenda brand, and it's been incredible to see the fan response to that and how our activation is building awareness and generating trial. So we're definitely seeing a real positive impact to our brands and our company.
Everybody is a competitor. Everybody wants to win. I see you've got a headset on here in the 20 pit. Your son, Christian, who is a quarterback at Purdue, is involved with the team. In what way do you have a perspective of the competition and what it takes to win here in this series?
Yeah, well, I don't have a whole lot to say regarding the team. I leave all that to the experts, which I am the farthest from. My son's an aerospace engineer, grad from Purdue, just graduated this last May, and you know, I think he's very interested in the aerodynamic of racing, and wanted to be a part of this great organization.
It is a unique thrill, isn't it? Whether it's through your son or watching Christian and Alexander, it's really not like anything else in sports.
It's not like anything else. It is super high tech, super high speeds. I don't know how these guys do what they do, but what I see is what I didn't fully appreciate as much as I do today is the team aspect of the sport. It's not just a driver. It is an incredible group of men and women that are behind identifying opportunities to go faster, and I didn't fully appreciate that until I got to sit in meetings and understand how these guys communicate. It's really amazing.
What I did not fully appreciate until baking out in the sun is stuff like Liquid Science. You guys have a bunch of other products that keep you hydrated. Ted's Tea, Wrangler Energy, Java House, the cold brews. I ordered it when I was out in Detroit, put in the wrong address. The customer service team got me all hooked up. So I can vouch for it, and I know these teams can as well. Ted, thank you so much for your time and bringing what you do here to the series.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Really good stuff and a welcome addition to the paddock, and I know that Ed's happy with how that relationship has gone, Davey, and nice to see some Indiana folks get together for that race team.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and I mean, obviously Ed, and you can see a difference in that team, honestly. You can just see, you know, not that they don't want to win any more or less. They're going for it. It just seems a little more orchestrated over there, a little more, you know, maybe professional. I don't know how to even say that because that team's been really good. They've won races. They know how to get the job done. But just seems like it really clicks good over there. Obviously, Rasmussen, what a great weekend he had last weekend to really show off, you know, that ECR team and that the brand and the new sponsor that comes in, a new ownership with him as well. So it was really good to see that. And I don't know where they're headed. I know there's some you know, I don't know where the driver contracts are and where they all stand, but excited to see them part of our program.
And appreciate Jason Clark making all that happen yesterday as we had a chance to visit for a while in the paddock, talked to Ted for quite a while. It was nice to kind of start to build that relationship. Christian Lundgaard is at P1 right now with a time of 1:45.341. Then Santino Ferrucci, Pato O'Ward, Rinus VeeKay, and Nolan Siegel the top 5. Rasmussen, Power, Palou, Foster, and Newgarden the top 10. Eilert, Malukas, DeFrancesco, Rosenquist, McLaughlin, Kirkwood, Dixon 17th, Herta, Simpson, Erickson through 20th. 21st is Armstrong, 22nd is Robb, 23rd is Daly, 24th is Schwartzman, 25th is Rahal, 26th is Abel, and 27th is Alexander Rossi. Davey, 30 minutes remaining in the session, and a lot of teams have parked it in the pit box.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'm trying to observe on who's good where and what teams are looking good. About that Arrow McLaren team, first with Lundgaard, then they're third with Pato O'Ward, and then how about top 5 with Siegel? And little news with Siegel, got some new personnel coming over there as well to help that team out and kind of do the strategy and run Siegel's team, so that's going to be exciting as well. But right now, that Arrow McLaren team, all 3 cars in the top 5, pretty impressive.
So, Graham Rahal out on the course. Nick Yeoman has positioned himself into turn number 1.
We just watched Graham Rahal blitz his way through turn number 1. He's going to be joined on the racetrack by Connor Daly in car 76 for Humkos Hollinger. Turn number 1, always a fascinating spot of the racetrack, Mark, because it is the end of a very long straightaway. So a great place to make some passes as we see Devlin DeFrancesco hauling the mail down to this first corner. But this is anything but a slow, heartbreaking corner. These drivers are going to be hauling the mail through this part of the racetrack. Alex Palou, our championship leader, has gone to the racetrack as well. It's a bender to the right, then downhill towards turn number 3. Excited to call the action all weekend here in turn 1.
And speaking of Devlin DeFrancesco, he's going to scoot underneath the bridge and head toward turn number 5 at Jake Query.
You know, the interesting thing here, Mark, and this got Devlin DeFrancesco last time by, when you take the left-hander that is turn number 5, if you swing too wide, there's a bit of a curving, but then it goes into another area that is a blacktop. So there is a change in terms of the surfacing and grip. So if you get too far wide, all of a sudden the right side rubber has one, if you will, grip level, and then the left side is still on more of a concrete. So that contrast is tricky for these cars. It got Devlin DeFrancesco just a little bit last time by. Now watching as Rinus VeeKay works his way through, no problem. He stays just off of that area. He's followed by Stingray Robb.
Oh, wow. Just a little bit of a bobble there from Rinus VeeKay as he made his way through that left-hander of turn number 6. Again, it's very gusty, so you see the understeer as the drivers try to get grip. Stingray Robb right behind his teammate Rinus VeeKay as those drivers make that left-hander and try to really get themselves at acceleration. It's a long run, again, down to turn number 8, but it's extremely difficult. Only one tree really blocking this win as it shifts from drivers left to drivers right through this entire session.
Interesting to note about that area that is turn number 1, Nick Yeoman, and I'll be down there for Indy Next, presented by Firestone. You hear them long before you see them, but when they crest the hill right at the start-finish line, that's when they pop into your view in turn number 1.
Yeah, that's exactly where you see them for the first time, because it is a massive climb out of turn 14 up the hill. And right now, a red and white car pops into my view, roars across the start-finish line. I believe that's our championship leader, Alex Palou. He's going to be greeted by a ton of lap traffic as Malukas, Lundgaard, Erickson, and it looks like Marcus Armstrong all heading out of the racetrack. But, Mark, it is a deceptively fast turn number 1 here at Road America.
Alex Palou and that Solo Cup sponsorship, they've been having some fun with it, talking about it as a means of communication. Jake Query, as the points leader, heads to turn 5.
Alex Palou will head towards turn number 5 and coming up, getting that speed going downhill, but he's going to have to get out of the throttle. He does exactly that hugs it pretty tight, as a matter of fact, working his way. That rear end stepped out just a little bit through turn number 5. Christian Lundgaard just behind him, and as Nick mentioned, David Malukas, all of them, Michael, working their way through the Corvette bridge.
Yeah, doing a nice job through turn number 6 that time is Alex Palou. There you hear him making his way through turn number 7, Christian Lundgaard, and then David Malukas had a great run going last weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Marcus Ericsson. Mark, practice certainly getting busy here as we get set to go qualifying later on this afternoon.
Michael Young up on the hill of that carousel, Davey. You hear that wind buffer that microphone a little bit.
No, I mean, that's, the wind is dead. The temperature's up, the wind's up. It's a crazy day out there. The wind does play an effect, no question about it, on the setup of these race cars, but it is steady. It seems like it's not a gusty wind. It's going to be the same for everybody and pretty consistent, so they can kind of work around what that, the heat, number one, they have to work around that, and then wind conditions and which way it's blowing is going to affect these cars.
So we've got Lundgaard, Ferrucci, Award, VK, and Siegel, the top 5. Ray Hall, Rasmussen, Power, Palou, and Louis Foster, the top 10. Newgarden 11th, Eilot is 12th, Malukas is 13th, Devlin DeFrancesco is 14th. Felix Rosenquist is currently 15th, 16th is McLaughlin, 17th is Kirkwood, 19th, 18th, we should say, is Dixon, we should say. Then Herta goes to 19th and Kiffin Simpson. Ericsson, Daly, Armstrong, Robb, Schwartzman, Abel, and Alexander Rossi has turned just 3 laps so far in this session. Rinus VeeKay off a good run at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Nick.
Here he comes into turn number 1, bends that steering wheel to the right. He'll use up all of the curbing and rumble strips at the exit of that corner. That part of the racetrack, Mark, looking a little bit rougher this year than in past years.
Yeah, a little bit of a downhill run at the setup at turn number 3, and Rinus VeeKay will guide it through there and climb back into the throttle, and then he'll start that downhill run. A little bit of a wiggle as he climbs back into the throttle. That points him toward turn 5 at Jake Query.
And Rinus VeeKay now will go through an area where Alex Palou just had to lock up the brakes a little bit. Looks good for VeeKay, works his way. Now that right side swings out just a little bit. Exiting turn number 5, Michael, here comes Rinus VeeKay.
Not one of the strongest courses for Rinus VeeKay, hoping to better his best finish of 12th a couple of years ago, but you hear him as he goes by, drops the left sides off at the very end of those rumble strips, didn't cause him any problems. Now through that left-hander of turn number 8.
And Davey, once he works his way through 9 and 10 around that carousel, and sets up for 11. From 11 to 12, things get really, really fast. Canada Corner is a right-hander. It's plenty wide, but it's very unforgiving.
Yeah, that's right. Canada Corner is very wide right there, as you said, but forgiving. Boy, I tell you, I have to move. I mean, what a race. It looks like a race between Herta and Ferrucci right now. Herta wasn't going to let it by. It is just practice. Ferrucci caught him really fast. He got him down in turn 7, had to lock the brakes up. But that turn, Canada Corner, very fast right-hander, and we see a lot of mistakes. As a matter of fact, we've seen one of the Indy Next cars go way off out there, spinning around. A lot of runoff just in case there's issues. But that is a corner that you can gain a lot of speed, and by the way, it sets you up for turn 13 and 14.
24 minutes remaining in the session. Lundgaard, Ferrucci, Award, VeeKay, and Graham Rahal, the top 5, Jake Query.
And perhaps Davey can expand on this, Mark, but in sitting up here in this turn 5 area and watching that left-hand turn, I know it's just a practice here and people are kind of getting their feel for things. And it is difficult with all the inertia of that downhill that comes to this area. But I don't remember the rear ends being this loose here at the end of turn number 5, exiting the turn, in terms of the grip seemingly going away on that outside line. Almost everybody that has come through here is tipped, and I realize that's always been the case, but it seems like that grip at the exit of the turn, Davey, might be a little looser than it was a year ago.
You know what I think, Jake, they're doing, and we watched it yesterday, Mark and I was able to see on the monitor, is that curbing to the outside, to the right side of the track. It's really wide there. You could put a car and a half out there, but it's so rough, and they got rumble strips in that concrete, and I think these drivers are trying to use more of it, trying to get to that corner faster, but as they hit that, it's just really setting the cars up really loose. We see Ferrucci do the same thing basically in turn 14, and but I just think that the back of that car, they're just having grip issues because they're using too much exit curbing at this point. And you're right, it's hot out, the conditions are a little different, the wind's a little different, so worst case scenario for all these drivers on that exit.
Bottom line, Friday is typically the calmer of the 2 days, and everybody starts pushing things. As one of the Penske cars, looks like the 3 machine of Scott McLaughlin heads to Dick Yeoman.
Yep, Scott McLaughlin will brush the brakes to slow that XPEL car down for turn number 3. He doesn't use up a ton of the curbing. I should say turn number 1. Quick back on the throttle mark as he heads downhill towards number 3.
That's the car of Alexander Rossi running just in front of him as Scott McLaughlin works his way off of turn number 3 and starts that downhill run, scoots underneath the bridge, and what goes down must come up, Jake Query, as they set up at turn 5.
Working their way into turn number 5. It is Rossi that will get there first, and then you wait a second before you see the car of Scott McLaughlin. He is much more out of the throttle than he was last time by. Louis Foster is just behind him, followed by Callum Ilott.
Rossi already through turn number 6, and then we put our eyes on Scott McLaughlin, who gave us our course description yesterday. Very animated as he worked his way through this 14-turn course. Looking good through turn number 7. Now sets up for that left-hander of turn number 8. Louis Foster about 10-15 car lengths behind.
Christian Lundgaard, Kyle Kirkwood, Santino Ferrucci, Pato Award, and Ritas VK, the top 5. Ray Hall, Siegel, Rasmussen, Simpson, and Power as the Siemens car does a bit of it off, but looks like no harm, no foul. Davey is able to get right back onto the course. And again, that 14 is a bit of a trouble spot. Yeah. Kyle Kirkwood overshot it.
Yeah, we've seen that last year. A couple cars went way off, got all the way to the barrier. We're going to watch what happens there. And what Jake just mentioned, you know, it looks like even on entry that like a little bit too much rear brake on these cars. When they really tried to slow them down, to the back of that car comes around before they even get into the corner. I think that's what happened to Kirkwood. It sure is. They tried to overcorrect it. Didn't make it. Now no harm, I don't think, went through the sand trap, but he's able to get back on track and right straight into pit lane. And right now, it looks like, you know, Rossi's turned 5 laps, finds himself in 27th. You got to remember, right at the end of the day yesterday, he went off course going into turn 3. Not so sure. Maybe something happened to that car, finding him way off the pace right now.
Interesting to note, Nick Yeoman, of course, you've been down in turn 1 for a few years now, and I'll say this, a lot of these runoff areas seem a little forgiving, but I think out of respect for the speed, as Alexander Rossi found out yesterday, you get too deep into that runoff area in turn number 1, you're going to get buried and you're going to need to be towed out.
There's no doubt. I mean, there is, I want to say, concrete patches that can fit a couple cars wide. But you're right. If you carry too much speed and misjudge the entrance because it is so fast, it does not take much. You also got to remember throughout the course of the day, some of that rubber buildup, the marbles get kicked to the outside. So if you get the slightest bit offline here in turn number 1, you're going to go for a ride. And again, the amazing part of what I've been watching is when these cars leave turn number 1, Colton Herta stabs the throttle. They're swinging way off of the racetrack and using those concrete rumble strips, and it is bouncing the rear of those cars left and right. They're having to really wrestle it at the exit of turn number 1. But so far, Mark, everybody doing a nice job here in practice.
Michael Young.
David Malukas really struggled exiting turn number 6, put the right sides on the rumble strip, nearly lost the back end of the car. He wrestled it through about a 40-foot area of rumble strip, able to then get that car back on the track to set up for turn number 7. As you see Felix Rosenquist, or you hear Felix Rosenquist make his way through turn number 7. Kind of took his time through turn number 7, trying to gap himself potentially and get a nice run, but a scary moment for David Malukas, but a very nice save.
No question, as I said earlier, Davey, that Friday is the more pedestrian of the day, and it's usually this practice session as they're getting ready to go qualifying where they really start throwing that thing around.
Yeah, they're starting to throw it around, and one thing, you know, we talked about Kirkwood going completely off track down there in 14 and then pulled the pits. But he was P2. And what happens, the timeline's right before 14, and Nick and I talked about it in the earlier show with Indy Next. These drivers really try to push to get to that timeline, but it's so late that you get a good time, but it kind of overshoots you for 14. I think that's what happened to Kirkwood.
So Kyle Kirkwood, as Davey said, currently P2, looking up at Christian Lundgaard with Ferrucci, Award, and VK behind him. One more look at the solo cup machine of Alex Palou as it heads to turn 1.
Yep, red and white this weekend for Alex Palou, the Indy 500 champion. Gingerly takes it into turn number 1. He'll keep the right side Firestones on the racetrack mark as he heads downhill towards the right-hander of turn 3.
And again, it is downhill, and so the braking point is at a premium. He stays well off the rumble strips until he gets to driver's left at the exit of the turn, and he'll start to scoot downhill now and set up for Jake Query's turn 5.
And interesting that Nick had used the term gingerly, because that would describe how Palou has come through this area the last few circuits after getting just a little bit loose about 4 laps ago. This time, very, very tight to the inside of that racetrack. Did not let that right side get too far to the outside. Alex Palou into turn number 6.
David Malukas having trouble in turn 6 again. He's well ahead, about 3 seconds ahead of Alex Palou. Alex putting those right sides, just touching the rumble strip on driver's right of turn number 7. Lets him drift out to the left side of turn number 7 at the exit. Good-looking exit out of turn number 8 as he sets up for the carousel.
This session is rolling along at a pretty good pace. I mean, we've had a couple of offs, but nothing really to be overly concerned about. And again, Davey, a lot of these teams go out, run a handful of laps, and head right back to the pit box for adjustments.
Yeah, and they need to do that. We continue to talk about how long this course is, and so to make sure you get ample adjustments and you get in and change your car enough, you sometimes have to pull in and just take a few laps, come in, make adjustments, because it's not like a two miler where you can make 3 or 4 laps. These are 4 milers, so it takes a lot more time to make those adjustments. And right now we see guys all over the place. Colton Herta, who was fighting there with Frucci, just turned a really good lap, puts himself into P3. So you have a McLaren, an Andretti, a Foyt, a McLaren, and how about this, Del Coyne with VK in the top 6.
Alex Below turning a lot of laps in this session, trying to get that car dialed in. He's turned a total of 9 laps in this session, and it's amazing to think, well, 9 laps, that's not very many, but it is on a 4-mile course.
That's right. It's like we were talking to Indy Next, it's 20 laps. And no, it's not just a sprint race, it's a 4-mile course. So still a long race. So and right now, DeFrancesco showed some promise yesterday, but this seems to be struggling a little bit today as well.
Scott Dixon heads to turn number 1.
Yep, and he is navigating turn number 1. He'll do that 55 times. At least that is the plan on Sunday when we go racing, as he is at full song. Looks like Kyle Kirkwood, the winner in St. Louis, going to chase after a mark down into turn 3.
That'd be interesting to see if the number starts to pick up a little bit. Things pick up a tick or two for Scott Dixon, because currently he is 23rd fastest, and that time is 1:47.725 as Scott Dixon heads to turn 5.
And Scott Dixon, of course, one of the master tacticians on this course and in this series, and he indeed takes it very gingerly through turn number 5. Kirkwood does the same. That grip might be getting just a little bit loose on the outside. It's Dixon and then Kirkwood through turn number 6.
Dixon negotiates turn number 7, 2-time winner here at Road America. Last time won in race number 1 back in 2020. Kyle Kirkwood laying out of the throttle, trying to gap himself a little bit as he was catching Scott Dixon down the hurry downs. Also see Marcus Ericsson making his way through turn number 8.
Will Power goes to turn 1.
Will Power full song into turn number 1. The winner here a year ago. All 4 Firestones swing off into the rumble strips as he exits turn number 1. The line and the speed, though, Mark, looked pretty good for Will Power.
Pretty frustrating weekend for Team Penske. All in all, Jake Query, at one point they looked like they might be ready to secure the podium, but just past the halfway point, things really came apart. But Will Power, defending race winner, always a threat here at Road America.
That team is trying to find some stability here at Road America as Will Power works his way through. There's a banking there in turn number 5 that wants to spit you high. Power denied that, stayed low, now into turn number 6.
He'll be following the machine of Stingray Robb out of turn number 6, talking about Will Power. Of course, the Team Penske sweeping the podium last year, doing an amazing job trying to readdress that and perform that this weekend here at Road America. Strong run for Will Power.
Stingray Robb with a red, white, and blue livery this weekend, Davey. There's a lot of new liveries this weekend.
A lot of new liveries. He's being one of those. Just look at that. We actually were able to talk to Ricardo Uncos, owner of that team, earlier in the hotel, and just kind of asked where they were, because the cars have been fast, but right now seems to be struggling just a little bit with Connor Daly and Stingray Robb. They're 25th and 27th.
Yeah,
right
he said they had some work to do on the setup.
Yeah,
here
last week really good. I mean, we thought Connor really had an opportunity to win that race, and then but they didn't unload very good here and got a lot of work to do.
How about Rinus VK one more time? He crests the hill and heads to turn 1.
Yep, came away with a top 10 finish a week ago at St. Louis. So looking to try to carry some of that momentum. That car wiggled a bit at the entrance of turn number 1. He had to gather it back up as the Dutchman heads downhill to turn 3.
Yeah, Rinus VK certainly, seemingly, is starting to put together a pretty decent season for Dale Coyne Racing as he sets up now and awaits for turn number 5. The car that just went through here is Robert Schwartzman, and then VK will come into view on this perfect condition day here at Road America. A little bit windy as VK sets himself up, left-hander, turn number 5. Nice job, keeps that rear end of the race car very stable to the exit of the turn into 6, and Michael Young.
Yeah, this wind is staying constant. It's coming out of the southwest and blowing, as I said, into the driver's face. And for Rinus VK, the addition of Michael Cannon, will that help that team get to that next level? Certainly been an interesting interesting year for Rinus VeeKay. Had some mechanical issues and some great finishes as well. So up and down, but Rinus VeeKay looking good through the carousel.
I mean, bottom line is this, Davey. If you throw out Indy and you throw out Detroit, which I know that's hard to do. It's a reality of it. But all in all, other than that, I think it's been a rock-solid season in his debut year with Dale Courtney.
Yeah, no, a really good run for him, and I think doing a great job. And hopefully, you know, they have a new co-team owner and sponsor of that team, and you know, hopefully things pick up and they can get the budget they need to really do it properly. He continues to drive the wheels off that thing. A little surprised, I'll be honest with you, a little surprised he's not with ECR. You know, I figured that was a seat that he had for a long time, but how about this? How about our points leader just jumps to P2, Brian Lundgaard. Alex Palou finds himself in P2 right now.
Yeah, been a very measured session for Alex Palou, and he's done a lot of long runs in this session, and he's climbing up there. He's in double digits now. He's turned 11 laps in this session. So Alex Palou goes to P2. Everyone's still chasing Christian Lundgaard at a 1:46.044. So with Lundgaard, Palou, it's Kirkwood and Herta, Rosenquist fifth fastest, then Newgarden, Ferrucci, DeFrancesco, O'Ward, and Rinus VeeKay, the top 10. Devlin DeFrancesco was in the top 5 in speed yesterday, Davey.
We just talked about him. Seemed like he may be in struggle a bit, but no, finds himself in that 8th position. Pato O'Ward still in 9th. VeeKay, who we just talked about, 10th, and Graham Rahal. Good improvement from yesterday for him as well in that 11th spot.
Marcus Armstrong to turn 1.
He is already on the brakes, bending that wheel to the right as he'll pick up the throttle, head back downhill to turn 3.
And Marcus Armstrong looking, I won't say it's been an up and down season. It's been fairly consistent all in all for Marcus Armstrong, but would like to get on a bit of a hot streak over the second half of the season. He's got 4 top 10s, and he has led 16 laps on the season, Jake Query, Marcus Armstrong.
And it's interesting about him because when you say hot and cold, when Marcus Armstrong is hot, oftentimes it's quietly so, as he kind of quietly comes his way now through turn number 5. That Spectrum machine now up the hill to the Corvette Bridge into 6.
He usually starts the weekend hot here at Road America. Started 3rd last year, 8th the year prior, but finishes cold. Finished 25th last year, 24th the year prior. So Marcus Armstrong trying to complete a sweep of the weekend and make not only a front row start, or at least in the top 5, but complete it and get a top 5 finish as well.
Robert Schwartzman, Indy pole sitter, a top 10 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Nick Yeoman.
Yep, rookie coming here to Road America for the first time. That's the sound of that Chevrolet power plant for that Prema car as he grabs a couple gears and heads downhill to turn 3.
Yeah, they've made some engineering changes throughout the course of the season and some personnel changes that have improved their fortunes. And again, a big splash was made by him, Jake Query, when he set on pole for the Indy 500 in May.
And the other thing I think Robert Schwartzman did that was so impressive was at the beginning of the year, when it seemed like they were still trying to figure some things out, he was very heady and steady in keeping focus in the car. That car focused just a little bit wiggly through turn number 5. Swung it wide. Robert Schwartzman now into the Corvette Bridge.
The Tel Aviv native, not a big fan of cheese, so certainly wouldn't be able to live in Wisconsin and make a lifetime of it, but certainly loves this course and was very excited to get out here yesterday. He said he was just raving about not only all of the turns, but the long straightaways. This type of track that we would consider a home track for Robert Schwartzman. He's very used to driving these types of circuits.
Number 2 in points, Pato O'Ward to turn 1.
He swung to the right, then swings back to the left, the entrance of turn number 1. Takes a pretty slow line. This may be a regather lap for Pato O'Ward as drivers like Kiffin Simpson and Scott McLaughlin get chased out into turn 3.
And again, if it wasn't for the mercurial start to the season by Alex Palou, we would be talking, I think, about Pato O'Ward and Kyle Kirkwood in a vastly different form, Jake Query. They put together solid seasons and tried to chase Palou down.
We'll see how solid this run goes. I'm going to pretend this is a slot car and see how much Pato O'Ward keeps his car in the grooves it's designed to be in, and the answer is very, very well. Works his way now middle groove into turn number 6.
Boy, the wind really starting to pick up now coming from the west. It will greet Pato O'Ward as he makes that left-hander of turn number 6. It will be coming from driver's right, but he looks good as he heads down the hurry down. So put the right sides out on the curving, hits that apex of turn number 8, the left-hander. Looks good as he heads to 9.
That last lap put Schwartzman at 20th fastest. And again, for Team Prema, Davey, let's face it, they understand. For them overall, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, they've been off a lot this year as a team, just trying to get their feet underneath them. Obviously, Schwartzman's never seen any of these racetracks, and Just a lot of work on their side.
8 minutes remaining in the session, Davey, and it's obvious that it seems as though the teams were pretty happy with the performance over the last 20 minutes of the session for those alternates. I think they feel pretty good about what they need to do in terms of using those alternates for qualifying because they've been on primaries for the session.
That's right, and I think what's going to happen, they're going to put those alternates on for qualifying, no question about that. They are a quicker tire. And then tomorrow morning is going to be really key to see what the DAG looks like in those alternate tires as well. As right now, looks like, let me see, it's still Lundgaard, Palou, Kirkwood, Herta, Power is the one that's moved up. And then seen some movement there, but how about Dixon as well? Power 5th, Dixon now 6th, Rosenquist 7th, Newgarden's move up to 8th.
Let's go to Alex Wolf.
In these last couple of minutes, starting to see some adjustments. Rahal Letterman Lanigan racing for Louis Foster, and Graham Rahal making a rear shock and spring changes. It looks like a rear wing adjustment for Robert Schwartzman, so still some tuning going on in these closing minutes.
And we're not done by any stretch after the session wraps up in just about 7 minutes or so, as Nick Yeoman gives a preview as to who we expect to be the favorite. As if we don't already know when we go qualifying for the Indy Next, presented by Firestone at 12:30 local time, 1:30 Eastern.
Yeah, just 2 race winners at Indy Next by Firestone so far this season. Those are the Andretti Global teammates, both rookies, Dennis Hauger and Lockie Hughes. But a bit of a surprise, the Brazilian Caio Collet, who is back for his 2nd year in the season. He's had a really nice year, right in the mix of the championship, and Caio Collet has been fastest in both of those practice sessions. So Caio Collet will try to go for the pole position. Both those Andretti drivers have been very, very quick. A week ago, Mark, it was Lockie Hughes using the outside groove in St. Louis to his advantage, roaring to his 2nd race win. So very interesting. Going to be to watch these drivers qualify a little bit later today before the IndyCars set the grid for the XPEL race on Sunday.
Doesn't take long to do your season stats, Davey, because 2 drivers have won all the poles and won all the races.
Yeah, I know. It's really a short list, isn't it? I think it's going to change here. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. Obviously, I don't know what. Palou's 2nd right now in speed. Obviously, Kirkwood's 3rd. So the guys that have won all the races are 2nd, 3rd. But how about that McLaren team, Lundgaard? He's 3rd in points. He's been, I think, maybe 4th in points. He's been hunting them down, and right now he's the fastest. So don't count him out. Maybe he's going to be our next winner.
Go to Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, Mark, just saw Graham Rahal leave the pit, and that car did not sound very good. He actually pulled to driver's left to try to get way out of the way for some of those drivers. So maybe just keep an eye on the American in that 15 car, as he didn't sound very good leaving pit lane here moments ago.
Been a pretty serviceable weekend all in all for Graham. He's currently 13th fastest.
He's 13th yesterday. He kind of struggled somewhat, but we know how fast he was at Indianapolis on the road course there. Really, we thought that he had an opportunity to win the race too, but Palou thought different of that and was able to pull that win off. But Graham, this kind of course may fall into his lap. Now he's got some pretty fast teammates as well.
Michael Young.
Yeah, Renus VK nearly swapped ends up at turn number 6 as Potable Ward will have Robert Schwartzman get around him, but it was a near incident for Renus VK as he exited turn number 6. That back end steps out, but he was able to save it.
We had our eye on Alexander Rossi, Davey. You mentioned he spent a lot of time in his pit box in the first part of the session. Whatever they're looking for, don't know that they found it yet. He's currently 23rd fastest.
Yeah, a little surprise there. Just has really been on bottom of the charts, not where he expects or wants to be. But how about McLaughlin? Finds himself 26 out of the 27 cars. Definitely not where he expects to be either.
Lundgaard, Palou, Kirkwood, Herta, and Will Power, the fastest 5 right now. The fastest speed at 146.335. And let's see, we get through the top 10. It's Lundgaard, Palou, Kirkwood, Herta, Power. Then Dixon, Rosenquist, Newgarden, Ferrucci, and Di Francesco. Let's see, Renus VK just roared past us. He's trying to track down Pato Award, who's currently running in the 11th position. VK is 12th fastest, and Rahal, Malukas, and Nolan Siegel. Louis Foster, 16th, then Armstrong, Rasmussen, Simpson, Erickson through 20th, then Schwartzman, Eilert, Rossi, Daly, Robb, McLaughlin, and Jacob Abel. Let's go back to Alex Wolf.
Christian Lundgaard getting out of the car with Brian Barnhart. Before we talk about the here and now at Road America, big blockbuster announcement for Errol McLaren that you're reunited with the guy that you have quite a history with, and Kyle Moyer.
Yeah, we're excited for that opportunity. It wasn't something that we were planning on, but when it became available. We're just very fortunate to get him to join the group, and we're pretty certain he's going to make us a better race team, so we're excited about that.
And to be able to pair him with a young guy like Nolan Siegel, I mean, did you and Tony Kanaan run out and buy a lottery ticket because you couldn't believe your luck being able to pair him up?
You just take advantage of those opportunities when they get presented, and when you got quality personnel like that available, you do your best to get them. I know everybody in the paddock was after him, so feel really fortunate that the McLaren group was able to get him.
And so I know officially it starts, what, June 30th, but he's going to be heading out to the Iowa test with the guys.
Yeah, getting him in here is going to be a great stability factor for everybody, and we're just excited. So looking forward to the second half.
And I'm sure you guys will be doing some bench racing, talking about, what was it, 92 that you guys were together?
Yeah, it's been a while for sure, but that just means we're both old.
Well, congratulations on that. And just real quick, how was Christian's car in this session?
I think he's pretty happy with it, so I think we're in a pretty good place, got something to work with. We'll do our best.
We appreciate your time, and we'll see you later today for qualifying.
Thank you much.
Yeah, appreciate Brian's insight, and what a huge announcement earlier today, Davey, that Kyle Boyer is going to land at Arrow McLaren and help guide the fortunes of young Nolan Siegel after his stint as general manager at Penske Racing.
Yeah, well, we know that the experience and the knowledge and, you know, the versatility that he has in a race team. There's so many different things that he's been part of. Heck, we said this before. He started with Gary Bittenhausen on sprint cars, and he knows that from the bottom up, and there's nothing that he doesn't know on a race team, so he's so valuable. And, man, I guess, you know, his misfortune, I guess, with one team when that happened. Every team, as Brian said, every team in the paddock wanted him, so they were just fortunate to get it.
Been doing a lot of fishing and resting and relaxing, and he'll be ready to get back to the racetrack for sure. And you mentioned that season where he and Brian were together in '92 at Gallup Racing. It was Brian Barnhart, Kyle Boyer, Ziggy Hargis, and Owen Steiner were all on that race team together.
You know, I was with Gallus Racing too. How come I always miss out on those guys? I had some great guys too, but you know, you talk about Rick Gallus. You know, did a lot for my career. What a great guy. He knew how to run a team. He knew good people, and you know, they're all. You look at them today, every one of them are somewhere. Matter of fact, I talk to Owen every week. You know, he's part of the Delara program, and Ziggy's over there.
Yeah, we had a near incident. Looked like Alex Palou put the left sides off. He nearly took off one of the signboards on the left side of the track as he left turn number 7. Really bounced down the track and hit that 400-foot marker. Nearly took that out as well, but a nice save for Palou.
About 70 seconds left in the session, Davey. We see Jacob Abel has thrown on a set of alternates, trying to see what kind of speed that he can find for qualifying.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure if they're new or if they were some from leftover from yesterday or what the situation is there, but definitely moved up that chart. He's in that 23rd spot, leaving Stingray, Rob, and Daly teammates at the bottom, 26, 27.
Jake Query.
Robert Schwartzman just locked him up going into turn number 5. I thought he was going to lose control of that Prema car. He manages to swing it back around and get back on track. But that was a good save for Robert Schwartzman. Rear end stepped out on him before he got to the turn. It was in the runoff area. He got it straightened out. Robert Schwartzman back on track.
Might have been yesterday, Davey, during this session when we saw Devlin DeFrancesco go off in turn number 5. We said, well, he's the first, but we know he's not going to be the last.
Yeah, not going to be the last. That's right. And what happened there was Schwartzman just the rear brakes locked up on entry of that corner. We see that brake bias is so important, and that's something that the drivers have on board that they can control, changing the front to rear brake bias. And that was actually Will Power. Wow, he did. I mean,
a little Dukes of Hazzard there, Will Power.
Man, all 4 tires off the ground, got off, and he was through the grass, and doesn't look like it hurt the car any, but he definitely had all 4 cars off the ground as that checkered flag falls.
So here's the full field rundown for you. Christian Lundgaard, the fastest at a 146.335. Alex Palou, second fastest at 146.674. Kyle Kirkwood, third fastest, and Colton Herta, fourth. Will Power, fifth. Scott Dixon, sixth. Felix Rosenquist, 7th. Joseph Newgarden was 8th fastest at a 146.467. Santino Ferrucci and Devlin DeFrancesco completes the top 5. That's 2 sessions in a row that DeFrancesco was in the top 10. Scott McLaughlin, 11th fastest. Pato O'Ward, 12th at a 146.236. Renus VK at a 146.270. Graham Rahal, 14th fastest at 145.930. Let's see. David Malukas, 15th fastest, 16th Siegel, 17th Foster, 18th Armstrong, 19th Rasmussen, Simpson, Erickson, 20th and 21st. Eilon, 22nd, Abel, 23rd, Schwartzman, 24th. Alexander Rossi 25th, Connor Daly 26th, Stingray Rob 27th. Davey, yesterday's practice session looked like this. Your top 10, Kirkwood, DeFrancesco, Power, Newgarden.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much to INDYCAR Radio, as they will continue to discuss about what happened yesterday. They'll talk more about that in qualifying later on. Right now, though, we're going to go off air, as I have to get off to Italian F4 that's about to begin at Monza for its second race of the weekend. But from INDYCAR, we will see you later on.